Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take it. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning and welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9, powered by MaX Sports. We're live, local, and ready to get things going on this beautiful day. Thank you so much for making us a part of your morning routine. I want to remind you that the Alabama One hotline is open for business, so go ahead and make us a part of the routine. 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. So jump in. If you're tuning in on the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, please know that you can always add your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your questions, whatever you have for us right there on Facebook and on the live chat stream as well. So we'll incorporate you into the conversation. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. The Alabama football team putting the pads on, heading toward scrimmages, and as the scrimmages ramp up, so does the competition and the intensity, and slowly get to a point where you're getting closer and closer to find out who's going to be the man. So we'll talk about the quarterback position today. We'd like to get your thoughts on how that's going. Some of the guys talking about all of the guys are doing well. It's just a matter of working out the chemistry. And we talked about that all summer, that the chemistry comes down to you kind of spending time. It's hard to find out what the chemistry is going to be if you're not mixing it up. If you go into a lab, you can have all the right chemicals, but if they're all separate, you never know if you have the right mix or not until you put them into the same container or get them into the same place. And so we'll talk about that chemistry of the quarterback leading this team. We'll talk about the chemistry of the offensive line and what chemistry they're going to have there. And a guy we haven't talked a lot about, but maybe he's that missing link for this offensive line that may take this offensive line over the top. So we'll talk, some specifics. I threw out some questions earlier in the week. Will the J and J or JJ combination or the JR combination by the end of the season have more carries? So we can talk about that. You may not know what I'm talking about, but if you stick around, you will. You got Jace and Rodell, and you got Jamarian and Justice. So which one of those combinations ends up with the most carries by the end of the year? And it may not be that combination, but I definitely think one, if not both of those J's, the J and J crew will be more in the mix. We can talk more about the O-line being aggressive and what it means. And I was talking to someone who said that they talked to Caden Proctor a while back, and he said, "Oh yeah, that's gonna be my spot. Y'all just wait. All you Alabama folks out there, y'all just give me time. It's not whether I'm gonna start; it's when I'm gonna start." So, like to hear that mindset and attitude if he's putting in the work. So, not assuming he's gonna get that position. So, and other things we can talk about is in relationship. To what's happening is, of course, as you look at things happen around, anytime you have a practice, of course, the QB race. Breakout players, who do you think is going to be breakout players? Who the top newcomers are? Who the best players of the day? On Monday, who will we be talking about, X, coming off of Saturday? Who's going to be the guys that we're talking about that took the big steps forward? And I can tell you those first scrimmages are game changers. They don't decide the starters, but man, it goes a long way toward whether or not you make it into the rotation. So we'll talk about that. Then, time permitting, we may have some miscellaneous. Probably won't get to it, but either way, once again, we want to invite you to get in on the conversation on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Or you can post your thoughts and comments on chat. All of those of you who are tuned in on the live stream. Remember, this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Taking time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, X. You got any topics or anything you want to add to that conversation as far as potential topics on a free-for-all Friday, which means you as the listeners can jump in here as well?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Just a couple things. I know we'll get into it a little bit later. Just who's playing where in some of these position battles and some of the mix-ups that we've seen be talked about throughout practice, as well as why not Bama? I don't know if you got to watch the Texans night on NFL Network, but just the number of former Alabama Crimson Tiders in that game is insane. You had Mac Jones, Anthony Jennings, Christian Barrymore, and Mac Wilson with the Patriots. Then you turn around, you flip over to the other side, you got John Mechie, which I'm so glad to see him back out there playing ball after his battle with cancer. Will Anderson, Christian Harris, Henry Toto. You had 8 former Crimson Tiders playing, and all 8 of these guys will be on the active roster come the beginning of the season. So it just shows you why not Bama with the number of guys that Alabama is continuously putting in the league.
The reason I didn't get to see that game was I was watching Dr. Pimple Popper, and and Marcel Dari. Huh? Do what? Yeah, I saw the Marcel Darius episode as he got the big lipoma took off above his left eye. So yeah, and of course I forgot about it. Actually, Precious called me, my daughter, your oldest sister, not older sister, called and said, You watch D'Amico get his first, I think it was his first win as a head coach. I said, no. And she said, oh, it's going off, by the way. I'm like, well, great. Thanks for calling now. So, but anyway, kudos to him. I know it's preseason, but it's better to win a preseason than it is to lose one. So, especially when you're a first-time coach. So,
right.
Kudos to him. But X, you said, some practice update, who's playing where and all of that. And we can kind of start a little bit of that conversation. I was talking about chemistry. And there's been a lot of conversation about the quarterback position, and we can keep talking about that position, and we'll talk about that position right up until we see him play. And we will still be talking about that position after the first game and after the 8th game, and we will talk about that position until that position wins the national title. Because even though this is going to be, the only thing I hope it doesn't repeat itself is the hatred toward Jalen. Here's my concern, and Virgil Williams, I know he'll agree with this. I hope we don't have a repeat. Jalen took us all the way to the promised land, and we didn't secure the promised land, but it wasn't because of him. We came up 1 second short, right? And then next year we had this big-time quarterback that everybody talked about all year. Well, we're going to have the same thing this year. We're going to have another Jalen, hopefully leading the team. And we're going to have everybody talking about Julian saying the whole year. And if we don't win, if we don't get all the way to the promised land, that's all they're going to be talking about at the end of the year. Can't wait till Julian get here, man. Can't wait till Julian get here. Can't wait till Julian get here. Don't ignore that we have 4 other guys. I know. That's what I'm saying. It started this. That's what it was doing when it was Blake Barnett and Jalen Hurts and all of that. And if we went through the season, all they were talking about was Tua, even though we were undefeated and winning. They just couldn't wait till Tua got here, no matter what we did.
Yeah.
So the only thing that would have stopped the Tua conversation, and I still don't know if it would have stopped the Tua conversation if we had won the national title. I don't know if it would have stopped it then, though. You about to say something?
It's an interesting thing. And because that situation, in my opinion, when you look back at 2016 going into 2017 when Tua arrived, all those guys left outside of Jalen. Blake left. Barnett left. Barnett left. Cornwell left.
I think it's the same thing's going to happen now.
This time. You think all the you think next year you will have a situation, whether it's Jalen, Buckner, whoever wins the job, if they're the guy throughout the season, all the other guys are going to leave. But I mean, because this time around, Jalen is the older quarterback, whereas then he was the younger quarterback. You're still going to have Lonergan and Eli. Or do you think you see a situation where they potentially leave as well, or at least one of them?
Yeah, I think that we will have next year. We may have 2 of the quarterbacks that we have on this roster, plus say Julian next year.
Oh wow!
How many quarterbacks? We have to get the break here. How many quarterbacks do we have right now? How many
5.
will we have next year?
If nobody leaves, 6.
And how many years do all of those guys have? The 5? At least 2 years?
At least 2. 2 to 4.
Next year, right?
Starting next year.
This year. They all have 3 or more this year, right? So next year, whoever wins the starting job has 2 years left. So, I
see whoever wins the job.
Let's talk about it on the other side.
I see Jalen.
Let's talk about it on the other side. We'll talk about that because that's the fear of where we're at. Man. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So we'll talk about it, and I hope nobody's talking in Julian's ear right now, telling him, Julian, if you're listening to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, turn it off. Don't want you hearing this conversation. The rest of y'all stay out there because we'll be back to talk more Alabama football right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Friday morning with a pretty nasty wreck involving an overturned vehicle on Alabama 216 before the 2059 interchange in Lakeview. You can expect delays. If you see conditions, give me a call. Get a $6,000 instant discount on all Nissan Titans and the heavy-duty Titan XD, plus 0% up to 60 months. At Townsend Nissan, I'm Captain Ray.
Barry Buckner here for Tuscaloosa Hyundai. You may have seen me on our TV commercials. You may even be the one who said I have a great face made for radio. But let me say this, I'm still excited to come to work every day. Tuscaloosa Hyundai is a great story. The first Hyundai showroom of its kind built from the ground up in the United States and still state of the art. Eco-friendly from showroom to service department. Tuscaloosa Hyundai employs over 100 of your friends and neighbors, a sales and service team with over 500 years of combined experience. We are dedicated to supporting Tuscaloosa area schools and charities. We are honored when Best of the Best recognition is voted on by you. But the greatest satisfaction comes from proving every day, if you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
The Tuscaloosa County chapter of the University of Alabama National Alumni Association is getting ready to roll with the tide at their annual fall kickoff event that is open to alumni, parents, and fans. It will be on Thursday, August 17 from 6 to 8:30 at the Skygate Club of the Westgate Luxury Condominiums. For more information and to buy tickets, search Kickoff Event 2023 on Eventbrite.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
If you have a community event in Tuscaloosa and West Alabama, tell us about it. All you have to do is email the information to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com. Be sure to include all the details, like the cause, date, time, location, and a good contact name and number. Email it to TuscaloosaPSA@townsquaremedia.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A mixture of clouds and sunshine today with scattered showers and thunderstorms around, the high 92. For tonight, a few spots with a storm this evening, otherwise fair, the low 73. Tomorrow, partly sunny with widely scattered storms, the high 95. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 77 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
I seen us all working. There's definitely a different drive in that room. I love the way they're working. I love the way they're trying to all communicate. We're just all leaving it up to them, to just come up with that chemistry and just waiting on the right amount of time just for it to click.
That was Jermaine Burton talking about the quarterback room. Like the way the guys are working, he likes the energy, and they're just kind of letting them all work it out. But the chemistry is going to happen as they work it out. And we're not going to get to the negative side of things yet, X, because my concern with that is that if we start talking negative, it's going to get negative. Alabama has 5 quarterbacks, and that's just not typical. And with the transfer portal and NIL and all that, keeping 5 guys when it's staggered is difficult. But right now, Alabama has a senior that has 3 years. The front runner has 3 years. His backup has 4. The third guy has 3. The other guys have 5 because they get this year. And then if they get redshirted this year, they have 4 years to play. So I just don't see 5 guys hanging around for extra years. I just don't see it happening. Al, go ahead.
And I agree with that. I think, honestly, you see 3 guys back next year.
Which 3?
Unless this move for Buckner isn't about playing, unless this move isn't about Buckner actually playing football anymore, and maybe it's of a Gardner issue of what he was originally going to do. But if you But of the three, I think whoever the starter is, and then I think you see both freshmen back next year.
Okay. Okay. That's a possibility. But I could I could just as easily see.
Actually, let me clarify that. If Jalen or Tyler are the starter, because there's more of a gap between them, and you're extending that by redshirting Eli and Dylan. So that gap grows from 2 years between them right now to 3. If it's Ty, it might play out a little differently because there is still really close with that bumper year between them.
I see us having 3 quarterbacks in some variety next year. After spring, I see us having 4 going into spring. I see us having starter, and to your point about Buckner, and the freshman and Julian battling in the spring. And then whichever one of those freshmen is at the bottom of the totem pole, I see them probably transferring out or playing baseball if it's Lonergan. Or Lonergan may move and say, man, I'm an athlete. I want to play ball. And so I can see him potentially even switching to a different position. So, but and we'll keep that going. But either way, that's some potential there in terms of what you could see. But I do like the fact that the quarterbacks. I mean, the wide receivers. I had a chance to talk to a few of them this summer. One of the things they talked about was the fact that Jalen was taking leadership and taking control of the team, but they're going to let it play out. And Ryan Fowler mentioned this. The biggest thing, I know fans are going to have their guy and pick their guy. I just hope that Saban, through his experience with quarterback races and all of that, doesn't allow this to go to a point or get to a point where it divides the team. I think that Jalen and Tua were so good as people and character-wise that I don't think it fully ever divided the team. But if you go back a few years, when we had a couple quarterbacks and it can happen whether it's 2 black guys, 2 white guys, or whatever. So it's not always race related when it's a quarterback race. It's magnified when it's a race thing, when it's a black quarterback and a white quarterback. And Alabama had a situation a few years back when it was Tyler and Watts and Zal, where it got ugly on the team, it got ugly in the public. And if that was happening in today's culture, it would have not destroyed Alabama's program, but it would have been even worse and ugly. And I just hope it doesn't get to that, where it hurts the team to the point where they divide and start picking. Because guys have their guy now. Now, quarterbacks have their guy. I mean, wide receivers, running backs, they have their guy. Just like fans do.
Oh, without a doubt.
So,
and the whole Watson Zal thing, that kind of happened right when I really started getting into football. And that was, at that age, I didn't fully understand what was going on. But looking back at it now as an adult, it's amazing it didn't get worse. And you're right, with today's society, it would absolutely be detrimental.
Yeah, it would hurt in more ways than one. So hopefully they won't get there. As far as just thinking about scrimmages and things moving forward, after the first scrimmage is in the books, who do you think gonna be kind of the breakout player? And it can be someone we've already talked about Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Who do you think is going to be a breakout player?
This is going to be a little weird, but I think it's going to be Terrence Ferguson with everything that we've been hearing about him when it comes to the offensive line and how hard he's been working. I think he's going to be the guy that kind of.
Yeah, well, let's hold him then, because I want to have a different conversation around the offensive line. So instead of him being breakout player, because
outside of him, I would probably lean. I think Isaiah Bond is going to have a really special year. We don't know exactly what the starting lineup is for wide receivers, but I think he's the guy that, as the season went along last year, where you saw him start to be a little bit more involved. And I think he's just such a dynamic weapon that Alabama's going to have to get him on the field.
And I could see that. And a guy who, or the reporter asked a question, and he asked Burton, does he feel disrespected because he was the leading receiver in terms of yards? And I made this, and I'm making a bold statement that Burton, I'm not saying Burton is going to become Jameson or Ruggs or Mechie or Smith. I'm making a bold prediction, and this is as much about hoping for the best for him and for the team. But I think he's going to be an impact player for Alabama this year. I think not at the level of the Jamesons and that, but I think he's going to recognize this is my shot. This is my chance. And so I think we're going to see some positive play. I'm not picking him as my breakout player X, but I believe he's going to help that wide receiver room, because I think they're going to use him the right way. I think they tried to make him something he wasn't last year, and that was unfair to him. And he came in, and I think his boy being gone, sometimes you get with your boy and you and your boy think you're better than you are, so you don't work as hard. And then you get hit in the face with reality. And I think reality hit him last year. And I think this year he's putting in the work. And I think he's going to be a better player. I have 3 candidates. I'm going to mention them. Then we're going to get the break and come back, and we'll get you, Todd, on the other side, and we can talk more about this. From a breakout player, I'm picking a combo. I'm picking JJ. They're my Siamese twins. Okay. JJ. They're my Siamese twins. And what am I talking about? Justice and Jamarian. I think we're going to see that Trent Mark combo. This is no knock on Jace and Roydell. No knock on those. But X, where would Jace and Roydell, even though they're really good running backs, where would they rank in the running backs that Alabama has produced under Nick Saban? Going all the way back to Glenn Coffey. Would you take them over any of the running backs that Alabama's had?
I can't say yes. I can't say I would take them, because neither one of those guys have been the guy.
Right. So it's not a knock on them. That's what I'm saying. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying
they just haven't had the.
Yeah, they haven't. But when you see JJ and Jamarian, they seem, and those two haven't either, but they seem to have it, right? They got that it factor. They appear to have the it factor. So I'm saying they're going to be That's why I said breakout. They may not, but if Alabama uses them the way they're talking about running the ball, they're going to be there. Also, I'm going to put tight end position. The position is going to be breakout. And then I think Malik Benson as an individual. So I kind of have a single, twofer, and a group. So we'll talk more about it coming back on the other side. The Alabama One Hotline is open for business. I do want to get back to your Ferguson, though, because I had him down as a keynote as a breakout, but I want to do it a little different as well. And we'll talk about that on the other side.
Okay.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we start our Friday morning with a pretty nasty wreck involving an overturned vehicle on Alabama 216 before the 2059 interchange in Lakeview. You can expect delays. If you see conditions, give me a call. Get a $6,000 instant discount on all Nissan Titans and the heavy-duty Titan XD, plus 0% up to 60 months. At Townsend Nissan, I'm Captain Ray.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
When you're rolling Charmin Ultra Soft on the party, less is more, so roll it back, everybody. Charmin's irresistibly soft and hella nice. The grip is always soft. It's our party vibe. It's cushion and things, so our chicks feel fly. So what? Everybody wanna touch the sky.
Charmin Ultra Soft is irresistibly soft and more absorbent, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
Big Buck Bounty is coming to West Alabama. Town Square Media Tuscaloosa is pleased to announce the first annual premier hunting competition, October 14th through February 10th, 2024. Thousands of dollars in cash and prizes. We'll be picking winners each week based on the scoring of the deer by a professional taxidermist. Prizes include an all-terrain hunting vehicle, hunting gear, and more. Big Buck Bounty will award winners in the open division, youth, bow, and women's. If your business wants to become a marketing partner with Big Buck Bounty, log on to 953thebear.com and click on Advertising and Marketing Solutions.
Hey, Mark, just stopped in to say hey, and whoa, the phones are ringing off the hook. Safe to say business is going pretty well.
Yeah, word of mouth kept us afloat after we opened, but then there was a little bit of a lull. But it finally feels like we've been getting a steady flow of new customers over the past few months.
So what have you been doing? It definitely seems to be working.
Thanks. We needed to be able to be found where people are searching, and today that means being found online.
How'd you pull that off? That sounds complicated.
No, it was easy. I went to townsquarelocal.com to see how many people were searching for my business in Tuscaloosa. Then the experts at Town Square helped me build my online presence so my business can be found exactly when and where customers are looking.
That's amazing. Do you really think they can help me too?
Absolutely. Go to townsquarelocal.com to find out.
Go to townsquarelocal.com for a local customer analysis that will show you how many Tuscaloosa customers are searching for your services online. It's quick, easy. Get your business found online by visiting townsquarelocal.com today.
Tomorrow on Compass Media Network's coverage of the NFL. The 2023 season gets underway as the Cowboys and Jaguars kick off the preseason. Hi, this is Jerry Recco. Join Kevin Ray, Danny White, myself for all the action as Dak Prescott and the Cowboys square off with Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Football is back. It's the Dallas Cowboys and the Jacksonville Jaguars. If it's the NFL, it's right here.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
It's been developing really well. You know, he's got all the physical attributes that you want in the offensive lineman here at the University of Alabama. The thing with Caden, he just has to put the technique together, and that'll come along with camp. Like, fall camp is about development, physically, obviously, but we're also developing the mindset of we're going to come and run the ball on you and be dominant. We're going to drop back and pass the ball, and we're going to make sure whoever's back at quarterback goes untouched. And we're just trying to develop that mindset. But Caden, he's taking all the right strides towards being a contributor for this offensive line. It just is going to take time of development.
Tommy Reese says that if he could go back in time and play a different position, he'd be a pulling guard. First off, what do you think about, just from his personality, about how he'd do at that? And then second of all, what is it like having an offensive coordinator that kind of likes that tough, hard-nosed mentality?
First of all, I don't think Coach Reese has the frame for it, but knowing how he likes to call plays, I think he has the mentality for it for sure. And just having an offensive coordinator who has that run-first mentality, has that, yeah, we're gonna pass the ball as a compliment to the run. That's very reassuring to the offensive line, especially ours. Like, we want to make people quit this year, and there's no better way to do it that rather than to run the ball. You know, so we're gonna run the ball this year. We're gonna pass the ball as well because we have a lot of talented guys at receiver. We have a lot of guys that can throw the ball very well. So just having that run first mentality as an offensive line, that just gets us going because we want to make people quit.
Man. If that don't get you going, X, if that doesn't get you pumped up, that was Tyler Booker talking. First question he was answering was in regards to Caden Proctor getting worked into and getting a mindset. And I told y'all earlier, Caden Proctor told someone that I was talking to, said, it's not a matter of if I win the job, it's when I win the job. And Booker kind of laid that out a little bit. Then he talked about Reese's mindset on running the ball. So we're going to talk about that offensive line a little bit, X. We're going to talk about that offensive line just a little bit. And Saban had something to say about that offensive line, so we're going to get what he had to say as well about that offensive line. And I mean, the last time I heard Alabama say we want to get back and making people quit was Ragland a few years ago. If we can get back to that mindset, I'm going to enjoy watching some football on Saturdays. Your thoughts real quick before we bring Todd in, then we'll circle back on the Ferguson situation.
It's music to my ears as someone that has grown up just loving football, being someone that played the running back position, hearing an offensive lineman talk about just mauling people, mashing them, making them want to quit easy. So I know the guys in the backfield are loving hearing that type of mentality coming from their guys.
Yeah, and the offensive line, man, they have to be like, yeah, because, for the last few years, man, they have had to play almost handicapped or with one hand tied behind their backs with the RPO mindset, because you can't fire off. Think about this. You're told all Alabama fans have been wanting to see is us maul people and dominate people. Well, you can't do that if you know that you can only full-fledged 1 out of every 10 plays do you really get to just fire off and hit somebody, because it might be an RPO and you can't go more than 2 yards downfield, so you can't take more than 1 or 2 steps. Run first mentality. Is it true? Do we really have that mindset? If we do, I think we're built for it. You know how they say built by Bama? We're built for that mindset. And if we call that mindset, if we live up to it, it's going to be some fun stuff. So let's get to Todd, see what he says. And then when we come back after Todd, we're going to have some Saban audio regarding Ferguson. Then we're going to talk about that conversation. Todd, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Free for all Friday. Thank you so much for taking my call. I just had to make a quick comment on the conversation yesterday as far as Pete Rose is concerned. Man, I tell you what, growing up as a kid playing baseball in the sandlot and hitting a triple and running into third base, and you had to do the Pete Rose hit first slide in the third base. Man, as a kid, you probably did that as a kid, Martin Houston.
I did. Hey, Todd, I only had to do it one time. You know why?
Why?
Because I was so fast, I usually just came in the third standing up.
Hey, man, so
Hey, Todd, if you believe that I got some swamp land down in Florida, I want to sell you.
I know, buddy. I'll take it all day long, my friend. As far as Pete Rose is concerned, man, and Coach Saban just shows you how much the utmost respect that he has for Pete Rose by bringing him in and letting him speak to all these players and lifting the team up. And I'm sure he lifted the coaches up as well. So now I have to talk to Pastor Houston, and when we go to John 13:34, where Jesus commands us to love one another just like he loves us. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is to have Jesus in our heart, because the only way to love somebody, I had to look at how did Jesus love me. He took my sins. He forgave me when I was guilty and did wrong. And then Jesus says, by this love, all men will know that you're my disciples. My prayer is that the Major League Baseball people will forgive Pete Rose, give him what he deserves, and let him move on. But holding that stuff until he passes away and moves on or whatever, I'll tell you what, man, that just really, really, really turns me away from Major League Baseball and sports altogether, Martin.
Here's a quick response to that, Todd. First of all, totally agree with the mindset there on second chances. The question is, do they have one? Do you go in as a coach? Can you go in as a player, or can you go in as a player and a coach? Right? So, to me, how is it that they're able to hold him out as a player if there's a player Hall of Fame that you can get him voted in as a player, and then you can get voted in separately as a coach? He is not a Hall of Fame coach. He bet on baseball as a coach. Boom. So he'll never be considered as a Hall of Fame coach. What does that have to do with him as a player? If that's the case, they need to go back and take all the guys they have in there and go look at them as a father, as a community person, and in every aspect of their life, because it's separate. He what he did was wrong, but he did it as a coach, not as a player, and you're voting on him as a player. That's my thought. Worst case, but I also think that you know, but it's baseball. Baseball. The reason baseball struggles the way it does, Todd, is because baseball has a bunch of elitists, and they still want to claim America's sport, and all of that, and those who are involved with it. The reason it is the worst of the major league sports and falling behind, by the way. If baseball is going to find itself where it's going to get passed by soccer, probably both men and women's soccer if it's not careful, and pickleball. No, just kidding. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm serious though, but they just huh?
Have you ever played pickleball?
Hey, I'm talking about from a viewer standpoint. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying that they need to do things. It's the prideful nature of those who are in baseball and the elitist mindset of baseball that cost baseball its place in the American eye from a sports standpoint. Their refusal to change and modify their game. And now they're trying to play catch up, but it's still that same mentality. In the same way that college football created its own mess with NIL and transfer portal, baseball created this mess for what it has right now. So, all right, man. Anything else before I let you go?
You know, Pete Rose, he's already a Hall of Famer in my mind. You know, he'll go down in eternity in my mind as a Hall of Famer. And there's only one sin that'll keep you out of heaven. That's blaspheming the Holy Ghost. So, you know, my prayer is that he has Jesus in his heart. He'll spend eternity with Jesus in heaven. And these trophies that we all chase down here, we know what the word says on those trophies. They just tarnish and wither away.
Hey, Todd, is he still the top hitter in baseball?
Oh, man.
Huh? Do what, Xavier?
He has the most hits in history, and it's not close to being broken.
Right. So as a baseball player, he's still the best. But as a coach, he bet on baseball, so he's not a Hall of Famer. Think of it, and that's where we'll end that conversation. So thanks, Todd. As we go to break here, I want you to hear Nick Saban's thoughts on Ferguson, and we'll have that conversation. We'll react to it on the other side.
Terrence Ferguson is playing really, really well. You know, he's gotten bigger and stronger, He's also always been very explosive and had explosive power and body quickness. And he's very confident in what he's doing. And, you know, we're playing him at center some too, which he's done a good job of that. He's showing a lot of maturity. And I look at him as a starter on our team. I think we have 6 or 7 guys who may be starters. So we'll see what the best combination is as we go through camp.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, we got a wreck on 2059 eastbound at exit 89. That's Mercedes. Wreck US 11 past the Middle Coaling Road in Coaling. And a wreck on Alabama 216 near 2059 with an overturned vehicle. Get a $6,000 instant discount on all Nissan Titans and the heavy-duty Titan XD, plus 0% up to 60 months. At Townsend Nissan, I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Friday morning. More than 10,000 North Alabama residents are without power this morning, 250 in Fayette County alone, due to thunderstorms that rumble across the area of eastern Tuscaloosa County and most of Walker County, under a marginal 1 in 5 risk for strong to severe thunderstorms through 8 this morning, but most of those storms already moving eastward. Also, a heat advisory will be in effect beginning at 11 until 9 tonight. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Oh, yes, it's true. Best Buys are right here at Townsend Nissan, your family-owned dealership, with offers like this: $2,000 off every Altima and Rogue in stock. And yes, it gets better. $5,000 instant savings on every in-stock Murano. Okay, here's a super Townsend Nissan offer: $6,000 off every Titan and Titan XD in stock, plus 0% for up to 60 months. The luxury Armada are discounted $6,000 instantly, and of course, you still pay lower taxes and fees versus those big city dealers. Shop Townsend Nissan.
Marketing your business today can be more confusing than ever. Town Square Media Tuscaloosa is the leader in local content for Tuscaloosa and the West Alabama area. We deliver results on air and online for our clients. Here's what our clients are saying about doing business with Town Square Media.
Hey, this is Shane Spiller with Spiller Furniture and Mattress. And every week I have someone tell me, hey, I heard you on the radio. So thanks, Town Square, for helping me to grow my business.
To learn more about our marketing opportunity, contact us at TuscaloosaThread.com. Click on Advertise with Us.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Terrence Ferguson is playing really, really well. You know, he's gotten bigger and stronger. He's also always been very explosive and had explosive power and body quickness. And he's very confident in what he's doing. And, you know, we're playing him at center some too, which he's done a good job of that. He's showing a lot of maturity. And I look at him as a starter on our team. I think we have 6 or 7 guys who may be starters. So we'll see what the best combination is as we go through camp.
That's Coach Nick Saban. X, I'll let you respond first.
Hey, like I said, I think he's the guy. When you're looking at Terrence Ferguson and what he brings to this team, just hearing other guys talk about him, haven't really heard anything from him himself. But it's the mentality, the hard work, and the effort that he's putting in practice. And I think he makes this team a little bit nastier. Kind of that, I almost call him Terrence Warmack, that Chance Warmack mentality of play. And I think you have that with both of the guards if you have him in the lineup of him and Booker. It's a pick your poison on which side you want to try to come through.
You know, we've talked a lot about that left side. And as we've talked about that left side, a lot of our conversation has centered around Dalcourt, because that's who was the guy when spring ended. Dalcourt and Pritchett, right? That was that left side. But let's start talking a little bit about that. How different do you feel about that left side? If what Nick Saban is saying, think about the words he used, X. He said bigger, stronger, more athletic. He's playing more mature. Sounds like everything you want in that position. So now all of a sudden, the left side has how do you feel about this 5? Redshirt freshman, Terrence Ferguson, 6'4", 318. McLaughlin, Booker, J.C. Latham, Caden Proctor at left tackle, or Pritchett at left tackle. You know, I mean, that's a pretty formidable group of offensive linemen. And then you take Booker's words, what he said about Reese, about a run first mentality. And as offensive lineman, it really gets you excited. John Hanna on Ryan Fowler's show said offensive linemen don't have eyes in their butt. Classic line. One of the best lines ever. And what he's saying there is, I mean, how do you expect us? How do you expect the offensive linemen to do what they do if they're having to look back? Let's see if we can get Booker to say that one more time about that run. You want to hear that one more time, Max? Let's see if let's see if we can hear him say it one more time.
First of all, I don't think Coach Reese has the frame for it, but knowing how he likes to call plays, I think he has the mentality for it for sure. And just having an offensive coordinator who has that run first mentality, has that, yeah, we're gonna pass the ball as a compliment to the run. That's very reassuring to the offensive line, especially ours. Like we want to make people quit this year, and there's no better way to do that rather than to run the ball. You know, so we're going to run the ball this year. We're going to pass the ball as well because we have a lot of talented guys at receiver. We have a lot of guys that can throw the ball very well. So just having that run-first mentality as an offensive line, that just gets us going because we want to make people quit.
Man, he said so much. He said so much, X. He said so much.
Want to make people quit.
Gets us excited, run first, compliment the pass game. I mean, the run game with the pass, not the other. I mean, he said so much there. If that truth proves to be true, but this is what I heard him say. He said, especially us, meaning that they have adopted. You and Noah talking about, he said, I kind of see it as a unit. And that is the case with an offensive lineman. They're one unit, UNI, one group, 5 guys working together. And he said, especially us, meaning that the mindset of that room, and you heard me cut that clip off. He was about to talk about what J.C. Latham has taught him. So we may have that for later on, X. But I get excited because I am convinced, and I didn't get into this conversation. I talked about this. I'm waiting on somebody to just flat out X say, you know what? I'm pushing all my chips in, and I'm going to make somebody stop me from running the ball. When we played against Miami, everybody talked about the Miami defense in 1992 was the 2023 defense. They had 3 linebackers that could run side to side. Their defensive ends were like Will Anderson. Literally, the defensive ends that I played against were 6'3", 6'4", 240 pounds, 45 pounds. They were speed guys, get up the field, etc. And people said, man, what y'all gonna do with all that speed and all that stuff? I said, they would ask me personally, and then as a team, they would say, what y'all gonna do? I said, they're Corvettes and I'm an 18-wheeler. If I have to chase them, it's gonna be a long day for us. But if they have to stop the 18-wheeler from coming downhill, it's gonna be a long day. And all we did was line the 18-wheeler up and just roll downhill all night long. And if Alabama lines up with this offensive line and go downhill and make all these little small defensive line and linebackers play them, let that big dude that was just on that video X press on outside linebacker all night long. He will quit by the end of the game.
Yep. And the other aspect of that, y'all were doing it with an offensive line that was what, averaged 260?
Yeah, probably a little heavier, but not much.
265? Yeah. So now you're talking about doing that with guys of that similar stature and things with an offensive line that averages almost 330.
Yeah, our biggest offensive lineman was smaller than, didn't weigh as much as Seth McLaughlin. Our biggest offensive lineman.
Exactly. So you're talking about, so you're talking about a defense that is built for speed. Defenses are built for speed and playing sideline to sideline. Now, that's why Georgia's been so good the last few years, because they lined up and they just mauled people. And then, as Tyler said, they used the pass to complement the run. Is on the outside to make that the easy.
And guess what? And they still didn't go all in. They were still. But here's what people don't forget: and when we did that, that was when Spurrier was pushing run and gun, fun and gun. So there was this same type of push offensively back then. So everybody was, and so defensively were trying to figure out, how am I going to stop Steve Spurrier? And along came Gene Stallings in the 92 team with a defense that was built to stop the run and had DBs that could stop the pass, but had an offense that was a throwback. And everybody hated us. 3 yards in a cloud of dust. You know how frustrated people got when they couldn't get on the field because we had the ball for 7-8 minutes? That's what would happen. But you can be even more creative today. So there's a lot of opportunity there. Real quick, who you got for your breakout players on defense for Monday?
I'm going to go Jihad Campbell. He's been playing a lot at that middle linebacker with the first team spot. I love the way he plays. He's a sideline to sideline guy, but he's also a thumper. And then, of course, would be Caleb Downs, but we've talked enough about him. Love everything that he brings to the table. So I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to say it's going to be one of these transfers, and it's either going to be Trey Amos or Jalen Key and what they're able to bring.
I'm going to throw Tim Smith into the mix as a defensive lineman for a breakout guy. I heard good things from the same guy that told me about Caden Proctor and Jihad Campbell, looking for big things from a big dude. As you said, he can flat out play. And he was one of those 5 stars that we moved to inside linebacker. So look for this defense to cause a little havoc with the offense. Offense will be a little behind. But overall, looking for Milroe to continue to separate, which is what I've heard has been happening a little bit at camp. Can't wait to break it down on Monday. Thank all of you for being a part of the show each and every day. Thanks, Justin, for stepping in for Noah. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston. This has been the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. On Monday, we'll be right back at it. And hey, remember this, on Sunday, come check us out at Harvest Church. This has been the Harvest Church 2-minute warning. At Harvest Church, we love God, love people. 10 o'clock word and worship. We'd love to have you join us. Roll Tide out there, everybody. Have a great, prosperous, and successful weekend.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.